While surfing YouTube, I found myself looking at videos on domestic violence. One video celebrated a recent court decision in West Virginia where the court said that domestic violence services had to accept men. It had a nasty comment that said, and I quote, "Men's situations are too marginal to matter." That quote is a perfect example of domestic violence if it had been used in a relationship. If you look at the feminist-inspired power and control wheel for domestic violence, you'll see one spoke named minimizing. It speaks of minimizing a partner's feelings about the abuse itself. If you further examine this feminist-inspired wheel, you'll see the only pronouns used are female. She, her. There are no male pronouns used on that wheel, yet every single item on that wheel is also done by female partners against male partners in equal numbers. The major difference between male and female abuse is that in a small number of incidents, a man causes bodily harm severe enough to warrant a trip to the emergency room. Women cause bodily harm as well, but not as often as men. They use other means to strike back, sometimes fatally. The feminists' secret to get money and attention for their cause is to shout from on high the total number of domestic violence cases, which includes women against men, men against men, young against old, children against parents and so on. Then they show a picture of a bruised female. They use guilt by association to equate the total number of domestic violence cases with battered women. The founder of the Women's Shelter Program, Erin Busey, states that she found that the women in her shelters were as violent and abusive as their partners. The domestic violence cause was hijacked from her by feminist extremists. Her life was even threatened because she maintained that women are violent and abusive. The current Vice President of the United States was a child victim of domestic violence. Joe Biden said in committee that his sister was allowed to abuse him and he was not allowed to defend himself under threats from his father. Strangely, this same man set up the exact same situation with his infamous Violence Against Women Act. The state authority, in the form of armed police, act in place of his father. They arrive at a home, and in 95% of the cases they arrest the man. There's a video on YouTube that shows a woman abusing a man on a park bench. A hidden camera, set up by a major US network, catches the action. One of the people passing by is a cop, who continues to pass by with no intervention. When interviewed, he said he thought nothing of it. When asked if the genders were reversed, he said he would be in a man's face in an instant. This is the kind of attitude abused men are up against. The police and courts have been feminized to believe that only women are victims and only men abuse. Really, now? This video isn't about letting male abusers off. It's about getting help and shelter for abused men and their children, as well as getting the same kind of help for female abusers. Don't you think it's time we upgraded this archaic feminist invention and brought it into the age of equality? Only you can tell the government to stop the war on men and fathers. To see the feminist power wheel, do a Google search with the phrase "wheel of domestic violence." Click on the first link from Turning Point Services.